Hi everybody and welcome back to Nellie and Ruth Designs. Today we are going to be doing some fun surreal collage art. It's been a while since I have created anything in a surreal format. So I thought this would just be a lot of fun. You know, sometimes you just have to be in the mood to create the surreal art. And I've recently received quite a few new comments where people are just getting into the surreal collaging, and they're very intrigued by it. So I thought this would be a perfect opportunity to have yet another tutorial and show you what can be done. This one has taken me a little bit to come up with something that I think is original for me. I've found my format. I enjoy creating. I have these larger pieces of papers, and these are mixed media papers. I was going to take a class at one time with a gal online, and I went and I bought all the supplies, this being one of them. I'll tell you exactly the size of this paper. And I just find it really helpful because I do like to put my collage art on here, and then I can either cut it down. I have room to expand. I've come to realize my style is I like to collage somewhat off of the page. I just like the dimension of that. It breaks up the solid line. So I think at some point when you are looking on YouTube or Instagram, and if you run across a collage, I think you might be able to tell that it's one I've created just from how I started doing this. So these are just about 17 and 1/4 inches long by 11 inches wide. And this is great. You could fold it in half. You could, you know, use it. You could make a larger journal with it. I'm not sure what we were going to work with this as far as in the class, but I have a whole package of it, and I have thankfully found a use for it. So this is going to be my background, and I think you're going to like this one. Now, I will tell you, other than this is going to be my background. There goes my glasses. That's going to be my background. And these are my pieces here. So if you're new to collage art, I would love to have you stick around and give it a go. Give it a watch. Sit back, relax, and see how this turns out. For those that have seen my surreal collage art in the past, and you are here to support me and watch and leave a lovely comment, thank you. I will thank you ahead of time. And for all of my patrons who support me over on my Patreon, thank you. I appreciate you not only here on YouTube, but over on my Patreon. So other than this background and one other piece, this head right here, all right, everything has been cut out of the Extraordinary Things to Cut Out and Collage by Maria Rivens. And if you're not familiar with this book, I'm not going to do a flip through because I have been cutting a lot of things out of here. I have a video on when I first bought this, made the purchase, and I did a flip through. I will link that in the description so you can go back and look at that. But I figured I should really start using this book because it does have a lot of fabulous images in it. And sometimes my vintage magazines, I just can't find what I want. I don't have a lot of vintage magazines left. So I'm kind of limited. So I said, well, you know what? I'm going to start using all of these other pieces these books and different magazine images, a little bit more modern, that I have, and I'm going to see what I can create and make for all of you. So you don't always have to create a surreal collage. I just want to make sure this is somewhat straight. I ripped this out here. With vintage style magazines. And some of my magazines have become so brittle that, like, I have an old Sears catalog from the 1960s. I can't even turn the pages in it anymore. It's become so very brittle that I may end up just having to throw it away. All right, so I have my image, and the other thing, I'm going to take this, I'm going to square this off here. This I ripped out, and I just want to square it off just a little tiny bit. Just want to take this little rigid edge off. Okay. So we have that there. Now, I will tell you, I do get asked a lot, what glue do I use? It just depends. If I am, you know, a lot of people say, what is in the white bottle? This is art glitter glue. This is very fast acting. It does come with a little tip, a fine tip, but I've had to take it off because it just hasn't worked out for me lately. So I just warn you, be very careful if you use this art glitter glue, especially if you're using shiny magazine pages. It will show through if you use a fine tip and you turn it over, or say like this here, this is a magazine image. You're going to get a line. So if you put your glue on the back here and you're going back and forth, you're going to get lines on the front. What I like to do and use with magazine images is I like to use just a tape runner. This is a small one. I do have a larger one, which, bear with me. This one here, I like to use my Scotch Advanced Tape Glider when I put the entire page down on my background, okay? Now, I did have a question from a gal. How long does this tape last? She wanted to know if it dried up. I would think if it dried up, if it turned yellow, if it started to fall apart. I can tell you this from my own experience. I have been using this tape. It's made by 3M, and I love this because I'm a scrapbooker. So I'm working with 12 by 12 papers and all of my family photos and a lot of things made from the Cricut machine and a lot of other ephemera. I have been using this tape since 1997. I have scrapbook pages that were made in 1997, and it still adheres like the first day I used it. And I just can't say enough about this Scotch 3M double-sided tape. It is costly, but there is a site that I go to and I buy a case of it. And I think it comes from either Minnesota or Wisconsin because I use so much of it. I think a case has 72 rolls in it. And in one pack, you get 2 rolls. And I think there's 6 or 12 to a pack. But regardless, this is just the tape that I use. It's the tape that I go to. It's the tape that has never let me down. So I will use that on adhering this to the background. The other thing that you can use is this Sukwang, and I love that name, Sukwang. And this is a double-sided tape that you can use. It comes like this, and it comes in different sizes. This is the same size here. This is just a smaller roll, but it comes in different thicknesses. I use this a lot in my junk journals, and I do use it in my collage art. And I can't tell you how long this lasts. It's something I just started using maybe about I think I've been making junk journals now, or just a journal, for maybe 5 or 6 years now. And this is also very, very good as well. This you can buy on Amazon and you can buy it on Etsy. I buy it from a store on Etsy. There's a lot of stores out there that carry this. So just do your research and find a shop that you like to deal with. Okay, so let's get started on this. And I'm not going to put this on my white paper just yet. Let me just move this forward just a touch. I want to just bring this a little closer to me. All right, right there. All right. So, again, I have been looking at this. It's now 12:41. It's Saturday afternoon. I have started this I came up into my office about 9 o'clock, and then my son and daughter-in-law came up. We chatted for maybe about an hour. But I would say it's been a good 2.5 or 3 hours. Excuse me. Still not all better. 2.5, 3 hours. I have been looking through this book again and trying to get my thoughts and process. If you are going to do a surreal collage, you can go in a lot of different areas. And that being said, it's you have to be patient, and you have to just kind of think of, like, when I do a surreal collage, I still try to have it make some sort of sense. So when I originally saw this page here, you can see I've already done a little cut. When I saw this page here, I thought, oh, this could be a lot of fun. I mean, there's a lot of potential with this. And I just kind of thought about it. And last night I was watching TV with my husband, and I was looking through magazines, and as many times as I had seen something else, I kept coming back to this. So my mind was telling me, first of all, work with this. And there was just something about it that I felt I could make a fun surreal collage out of this. So with that being said, the first thing I opened up the book and I saw this little girl. And I'm going to put this on the white so you can see. I saw her and I thought, oh my goodness, she is just really cute, and I think I can do something with her. And how surreal would it be? I mean, very surreal. Here she is with her little stroller and her baby doll, to have her right over here in this bog or this marsh or this wetland. I mean, that's just unheard of. So I kind of, and I'm telling you this because this is kind of how a surreal collage comes about for me. Again, your mind is going to kind of be all over the place. So I got thinking, what else just is going to be really funky and odd about this area? So again, trying to make some sense of it. Couple things that you could do. You could, put some things here on the horizon. And I thought, well, you can have a whole different scene over here versus what is going. We're going to have two different scenes going on. So I found this tree in Things to Cut Out and Collage, and I thought this is going to be very surreal because you are not going to see a fir tree growing in a marsh. That's just kind of unheard of. Now I have to decide if I want to take this bottom part off, and I think I do. So if I put this on here like this, I'm going to cut this bottom part off as well, because I don't need that white border. It's going to be on a white background. I certainly don't need it to have Landscape Architecture magazine on the bottom of it. That is not needed. I keep reaching for my garbage can, and it's over at my work desk where it's over there. I've been working on taxes, and So everything is kind of like going on my floor. All right, so let's put this over here. So the first thing I'm going to do is, I think I am going to, because I want to get my placement. And this is what I mean about I like to work outside of the lines here. I may move this over just a tad and then see where this here breaks up. Because for me, it's still art. It's a form of art. So I kind of like this off center, and I like this tree coming right up along this line here. All right. So now that I know the placement of what I want to do, I also know, let me just show you how I'm going to have this laid out. So I had this little gal here, and I had her in the bog in the marsh, and I thought, okay, well, that's kind of cool. I could have that there. However, again, there's really, you know, okay, so she could have her baby doll there. I clipped out this chair, which I think is really kind of cool. And I want to put the chair over here because really, why would there be a chair in this area? And I think, again, it just adds some interest, and you're wondering, like, why is there a chair there? So I thought, okay, this is great. But again, I think something really cool, instead of her just walking on the moss, I'm going to incorporate, I've got these seashells, and again, they came out of the Things to Cut Out and Collage magazine. And I have these right here, which I think, oh, you know, oversized seashells. Who the heck, who is going to find oversized seashells in an area like this? So I'd like to get this situated somewhat here. And then I think it adds a little bit more interest and surrealism for her to be walking her baby on top of these shells here. Okay, so we have that there, and I like the placement of this. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to get this down here. But again, I may wait. I have to do a little bit more cutting up here. So I think I will slide this out. And again, with all this collage, the Surreal Collage art, and if you do any type of collage, it's going to take time. Just take your time with it all. So I think I'm going to put these over here so you get the idea of where this is going. Now, the other thing that I cut out, there's some really cool buildings, cityscapes. I want to make a cityscape, and I'm looking for a little tool here, excuse me. Here it is, my little paddle. I have all of these little, these are all of New York City. This looks like the Chrysler. I don't know if this might be the Chrysler building. And then we have some other really cool, interesting, could be a hotel. We have all of these here. So I thought, okay, well, we could have a really cool cityscape up here. So what I'm going to get the cityscape in place first. And I don't want to, again, I have a little section here that is already cut. You'll see that right there. So when you're working on a collage such as this, just be careful that you don't get too carried away and you just say, oh, well, I'll just cut all the way across. You don't want your upper, I wouldn't think, you wouldn't want your upper area to be totally detached. So in order for myself to know where to make these cuts, I'm just going to, let's see, how am I going to do this? Just going to take a building here, and I'm going to just put that there, okay? Just so I know where the point is, the stopping point. And then I can start to lay out, and I'll explain to you why I have the bottoms still on here. Okay, so how I would start is I would start just a little bit tiny. I'd leave maybe this much right about here, and I'm just going to cut. And when you cut a scape such as this with mountains, just kind of wiggle your X-Acto knife or whatever you're using. I wouldn't use scissors. And just kind of wiggle it back and forth so you still get that texture. And I'm not going to come too close. I'm going to stop right about there, all right? So now I can place, we can move this here, and I will bring the white paper back over so that's not, I know this is kind of shiny, but I think it's okay. So the other thing that I do, I'm very cognizant of, if I'm going to tuck something in, I try to leave, and this is as much as I could leave, I try to leave on the bottom here the white. I don't ever want to cut right up along here if I'm going to be tucking something down in. So as you can see the white here, I've left as much as I could on here. That's all I was allowed to leave after cutting it out of the magazine. And then this one here. And the reason I do that is if I were to cut this whole thing out and cut right across here, it limits my see, if I had cut that right out, I'd have to tuck that down in there. Whereas if I leave a little bit of the white, I can still get some of the cars in there. And I'm just going to kind of put that right about here so I can see those cars, or if you're looking close. So you can see the cars, and I'll show you this when I'm all done, a close-up. You can still see the cars and the people, all right? But if you were to, like I said, if you were to cut that right off, you'd have to tuck that down in, you'd lose the door, you'd lose the people. Then you're just going to kind of want to play with it to see where it's going to be the best position. And I think this here is going to be just fine. Right about there. And you still get a really nice picture there of that building. And then I can tuck this one. I would tuck this one in possibly behind it. Let's try this one. That could go in front there. And I may break away and cut a little bit more of that white out. There's a little bit too much white on there. Yep, that building. Maybe this could go behind. It could actually go behind like that. And then we have this building here. And that could actually go up like that. So I'm going to step away and I'm going to cut a little bit more of this white out. All right, so I cut some of the white off. So what we're going to do is, I know I like this right here. So I'm going to get my tape here. I'm going to get this down. Okay. And after I use the tape, And if there is an area I want to just dab with glue, I will do that. I want to get this back here where I... Okay, so we're going to put that right about there, okay? Not going to put this down all the way. I want to see if I'm going to, this is going to go, is that going to go behind like that? And this is where you're going to have fun playing with, you know, how you want it. You know, I think that looks pretty good. Like that. I do like that behind there though. That could go like that. Still like that, I think, coming behind. So, that. And I'm not too concerned about this. I can always pencil this in with a little bit of green, but even with it like that, I'm not real concerned about having that little tiny bit of white show. Not at all. Because it almost looks like it's part of the foundation, the concrete foundation. So we will put that there. And then before I put this down, I'm going to put that there. And then this one here, I think I'll be okay with a line of tape. So we're going to bring this up. And I think that'll be fine, just like that. And then this one, bring up a little bit. I'll put this. This is where you have to, your patience definitely has to come in, because, and you just have to be careful that you don't rip and tear anything. And we will put that right there like that. Okay. So there is our cityscape. Right there. That's our cityscape. And I want to be careful here. I'm going to take some of this little bit of tape off here. Actually, I'm going to put just a little piece of tape on the back here. So if there's any tape hanging over the side or the back end, it will not interfere with it sticking down on this paper. Okay? All right. So now we're going to come back down, and I'm going to finish the top first, all right? There's no surprises here. So I had taken this gal's head. This was an ad for Tiffany & Company, and she was on here like this, all right? So I took her head off of here. If you have a piece like this, save something like this, you can cut it out and you can put a surreal head on that body. That can be used in another Collage. And I'm having her right here, because she is an urban dweller. I'm going to have her peeking right over this horizon area here. I'm going to put one piece of tape here. All right. If I can get her down in there without botching anything up. Okay. So she is going to be peeking over just like this. Make sure she's straight. Okay. And I think she's pretty straight. Okay. So she is there peeking. She's looking at something. She's very inquisitive. All right. So now what I can do is, because I don't have to tuck anything else in and around unless I want to take the seashell and tuck it down into the moss here. I may do that. It may make it look a little more. This one can be on the top. This one might be better if it's tucked down in. So these are the kind of things that you have to think of when you are, and if you don't like the way it looks, then all you have to do is put the seashell over the top of it. Okay. And I think we have to go a little bit more. So that can kind of be tucked down inside of there. So it looks like it's an outcropping instead of just being placed on top there. So we have that. And then we have this one here. All right. And then this is where our girl will be. And that could even maybe come down. Rather have it like this. And this is, we're going to tilt this a little bit, because this is where she is walking on it right here with her little baby. So I know now that I can put these down. So what I'm going to do is I am going to use a little piece of tape here. Then I can go back. This is to hold everything kind of in place. Then I can go back and I can spot, I call it spot drop, with the glue. But at least here I have things down and in place where I want them. All right. So now that I've got that, I can go and I can just do some little spots of glue. And again, when you're doing something like this, don't push your glue this way, bring it back this way, because you don't want to get it on this shiny paper, because it will make a little mark. Those are just some things that I've learned doing this that, you know, I didn't think of before. There. Okay. So now we have that. That is down just fine and dandy. Now we can put our little girl down. Now I am going to have to put some glue on her. I'm just going to go light because for these little pieces, I don't think you need a lot. And I think it will be just fine when it comes to not having it look like I'm even going to put that little wheel on the back side so it looks like she's caught her wheel on the other side of that shell. So there she is there. Okay, so you can see here how that wheel is kind of like just on the other side of that shell. All right, so we've got that, and then I'm going to get this all down now because I'm done cutting and dropping down in. So this is what, whoops, this is where I'm going to use. Now normally I would use this tape roller, but I don't want to catch the paper because it is thin, it is magazine. So I'm just going to use my Sukwang to go around all the edges. And then I don't have to worry about it crinkling or buckling on me. And when you're doing a surreal collage, start out slow. You don't have to make anything really fancy-dancy. The more you do them and you watch others, and you know, a great place, if you go on Pinterest, you'll see a lot of surreal art. Just be careful you're not looking at AI. There's an awful lot of AI collages out there now, and you couldn't possibly, unless you were a master artist, but I don't know how anyone could create anything that someone puts out in AI. The only thing I could tell you is you can get some nice ideas. It can help motivate you. You could, you know, obviously look at something and say, oh my goodness, I never thought of that. Or, you know, just for ideas and inspiration. So again, I'm going to move this over to the side. I'm going to bring it up a little bit because I could always take some off of the bottom. And I'm going to be moving this over. And I'm just going to kind of, before I press it down, I got enough room there, which is just perfect. And I want to make sure that this is somewhat straight because I think it's cut a little crooked, but nothing is perfect, right? And then I'm just going to put this down. So now I have my background down on here. A little bit of glue there, but I will get that off after. Okay. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my tree down. And again, I should not be doing that on there, Barbie. Let's move this over to the side. Let me go here. Okay. All right, so now we're going to put our tree on here. And again, I know I want to put this right about here, and I do want it off of, I want it out of that border area, okay? And again, I will go and I will spot drop glue once I get there. And I do want to put this, now you'll notice I didn't put any glue or tape right along the side here. I want to put that chair right there for interest, all right? This, I will use a little bit of glue. Again, I do not want to use the tape runner on this because I could rip the paper. And I'm just going to lift this up with my paddle just to get all of that underneath there until I know where I want to put it. And we're going to put that chair right about there, okay? So now we have our chair there, which is so unrealistic. And then the last, okay, I guess what I'm going to do is, I'll do this afterwards and I'll come back. And you notice that I left her loose and fancy free here because she is living underneath the city. She had to pop up to see what was going on. And when she came up, she's living underneath this building here. And I'm going to put a little bit of glue on here because the way I have to put this down. So when her head, it's going to give you the illusion that when she pops up from living underneath the city, she's living underneath one of these skyscrapers, and the skyscraper moves right up with her. And you'll notice I don't ever fill it with glue. I don't put anything on the back there. And we're going to put that right there, like that. So as she rises up from underneath the city, the building rises with her. So I've cut it down. I went ahead and I glued the leaves down. I'm going to give you one more tip. If after you glue and you want to make sure everything is down, what I do so I don't rip and tear anything, I'll take either a 12 by 12 piece of paper, I'll get another sheet like this, or I will just take a piece that I have left over, and I keep an old diaper here, and all I do is I will put this on and then I will rub it, and then that way your paper doesn't get damaged underneath. You don't catch anything. See where that could happen if you were rubbing it. And you don't really have to rub it that hard. And then I will do this because I did glue the ends at the tips of the trees, so I will make sure that they're down. I'm going to do it this way here. And then I'll do it with the little girl and the seashells, because I don't remember what I glued and what I taped. And then that way, everything is down and you haven't harmed or ripped up any corners or anything like that. So that, my friends, is today's Surreal Collage. I love it. It took me a long time to try to figure out what to do. But again, I think I found my style because I love going out of the margins. I always say color outside of the lines. It makes it more interesting. And I just think this is such a fun one. Again, you have your cityscape here with your gal that is living underneath the city. And every now and then she will pop her head up to see what is going on out here. Today she sees this little girl climbing all over these seashells that shouldn't be here. The seashells should be at the beach, not at this bog. And she's pushing her baby carriage with a chair and a conifer tree. So I'm very, very pleased how this came out. And again, you just have to take your time and you just have to think about what you want to do. I always like I said, I like to have mine make some sort of sense. And I just think this is such a fun one. So I would love to have you subscribe to my channel if you're new, if you're interested in surreal art. Hit that little bell so that way you know when I post new videos. And for all of my returning subscribers and my gals over on Patreon, thank you. Thank you so much, because every day I'm encouraged by you whenever I create a new piece of art or, a page in my journal. You just really, really, really boost me, and I can't thank you enough. So again, thanks everybody. I hope you enjoyed this. I'd love to have you give me a thumbs up, and I will see you in my next video. All right, have a great day. Bye-bye.